This week on the Squatchers Lounge podcast, David and the Reverend Jeff take on another type of gear. Field optics, for when you absolutely have to see to the other side of the world. But seriously, there's a lot of these things, and they're meant for a lot of different types of applications. So let's demystify this, shall we? I mean, I'm in the market, so I've been looking around. And Jeff's been looking around in the field, so we should probably talk about that too. So without further ado, I'd like to turn it over to the host of this mess of a show, the Reverend Jeff Kelly.
Oh my fuck, boys, what if it's a sand squanch? It could be. They don't exist, Bubbles. Julian, you try telling that to all the people that got eaten by the dirty bastards.
That's right, I am the host of all of this mess, the Reverend Jeff Kelly, and with me, as always, is Dr. David Batdorf, pseudo-scientist accredited by the Squatchers Lounge podcast. How you doing, buddy?
I'm looking forward to this show. This is going to be a good one. And like I say, I've been looking around, making my own opinions, and here we go. But yeah, so it's been an interesting week, kind of a dead week for both of us. We've been kind of out of the loop Sasquatch-wise, so this is going to be a fun one to get back together on air. So
exactly. We're going to be talking about field optics, do's and don'ts, what you need, what you don't need, what us people with glasses go through to even use any of this crap.
Yeah.
God only knows. We'll get to talking about that. But first up, as usual, we always kind of get newsy.
And now for the Squatchers Lounge News, bringing you the most up-to-date topics from across the interwebs week after week after week. The Squatchers Lounge podcast. Let's get newsy.
That's right, and the news is brought to you by Dr. Squatch Soap Company. That's right, drsquatch.com. Dad, this week I tried out the Spearmint Basil Scrub because I went squatching and I came back stinking like a squatch. That's right, Dr. Squatch Spearmint Basil Scrub. It'll get you clean after all them nasty squatching events. Check them out at drsquatch.com. Dude, I saw earlier they had a soap subscription. So literally for $6 a month, they'll send you a bar of soap, which is cheaper than what you can actually buy a bar of soap on their site.
$5 a month. Soapscription. Never run out of soap.
Never run out of soap again. I think they randomly send whatever the heck they send you. Gift box of 4 of them for $35. You can get it for $6 a bar. The pine tar I like for scrubbing my hands, but boy, that spearmint basil scrub, woo! Grundle clean, buddy.
I was using the what was it, the cedar citrus. Yes, and I'm enjoying that fully. It's still in my shower right now.
Dude,
and I'm fresh as a squatchy daisy.
That's it. Mango bango, baby. So check them out at drsquatch.com. Okay, so I'm coming across my news feeds at fossilized human-sized sea scorpion found in meteorite crater. What?
No big deal. It's just a sea scorpion that's 6 feet long. Not terrifying at all.
So this meteor comes in and blasts a hole into the earth, and lo and behold, they find this fossilized skeleton in the hole that they dig the meteor out of. It's like being mauled by a grizzly bear, a black bear, and a polar bear all in the same day while being struck by lightning twice.
I do love this quote, though. There's something about bugs. When they're a certain size, they shouldn't be allowed to get bigger. And this is definitely the exception to that rule, and you cannot squash it with your flip-flop.
No, but, dude, it's some cool stuff. All right, let's take a look at that next sucker coming up here. Oh, dinosaur feathers found in Canadian amber. Dude, it's like Jurassic Park all over again, man. Look at this. I mean, perfectly preserved feathers in amber. Why not? I mean, amber preserves everything else we've ever found.
This is really cool. Okay, so you're not going to get DNA. You're not going to get deoxyribonucleic acid out of these things, but you can get a lot of the compounds that are going to tell you what color it was. Not even just by sight, but what if the color changed over all these millions and billions of years? But you're going to be able to see what, the actual. You get enough compounds to tell you what color those feathers were. And
now these feathers actually carry blood. Some feathers do carry a lot of blood, actually. So if the pins are still there at the front, and it's not just like a broken off section of the feathers themselves, there very well could be DNA there.
Well, this would have been preserved like far too long for that to continue to exist. It would have broken down and just become
it would be
like
crap,
mush.
yeah.
Yeah. But this is just really cool because so there's all these different kinds of feathers that we're looking at, and there's some that are clear, there's some that look kind of like this kind of furry, like it's a Sasquatch. But there's all these different types of hair that they're pulling out of these ambers. Like curly, and this transparent hair. Now this is the coolest one to me. Like it's not even a full-on shaft. It's just like this weird like crisscrossing but fully transparent. So you're seeing the skin color underneath, but there's this like naked, no colored like shag on you. That would be a weird thing to see, and it would probably blow all of our minds. And it definitely piques the imagination, which is always a good thing.
Exactly. So you can check that one out at io9.com.
And velociraptors do not speak, nor were they covered in leathery skin. They had the feathers.
Feathers, I'm telling you, blue, purple, gold. Glitch.news. Yeah, that's the one. AI robot that learns new words in real time tells human creators it's going to keep them in a people zoo. That's right. Why is it every single damn time the artificial intelligence runs wild, it either wants to kill off the humans or put us all in a friggin' zoo somewhere?
Like, we're not even going to enslave you. We're not going to use you for anything. We're just going to put you in a zoo to look at.
You're going to be the fourth chimpanzee. Here's our new zoo. I mean, what's going on here, man?
We've created the people exhibit. Enjoy.
Enjoy. That's right. Well, maybe that's what we all are in space anyhow. You know, we're inside of a marble that some alien kid's got in his third grade classroom next to a jar marked humans.
It's got, we come out of like a powdered packet. It's like sea monkeys. Yep, that's us.
That's where we come from. That's right. Haven't you seen Men in Black? All right. The unholy folder. The boosh. Holy crap. The boosh in uncategorized. Okay, so apparently somebody has been collecting blackmail evidence against the Bigfoot community and now has this giant jump drive full of shit people really don't want other people to see. And he's so sick of the drama and the money making and the grubbing and everything else in the Bigfoot world that he's willing now to sell it to the highest bidder to be done with it and rid of it rather than just destroying it.
Yep. There's a lot of a regular smattering of dick pics and sexting. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's the tip of the iceberg. The
I can promise you, old Reverend Jeff hasn't either a dick pic nor sexting going into Mr. Tom Boucher's big heads of the Bigfooting community. Who the hell cares?
That's
their wives and husbands might care. I can see why they wouldn't want this released, but as far as like the actual world goes, who would pay money for this?
I know. Anybody whose dick pics are worth money in there to buy the dick pics before somebody else does.
Yeah, I guess if you have a dick pic in the markup, I guess it's worth money. But so the old Reverend here, it's not worth a freaking penny. And whoever buys this had better be in a country like Zimbabwe or Tunisia or what's that? The Kiwi state of New Zealand. I hear a lot of crooked friggin' people live in New Zealand. So you better live in one of those places before you buy this thing and decide to do anything with it.
We love our Kiwi followers. Anyway, but the whole thing is like the most disgusting thing is the greed and corruption and backstabbing that seems to be the accepted norm these days. Yada yada yada. Yet he's selling this information to the highest bidder for a profit. I understand the collecting. I like there's some very pure thoughts behind it, but the end to the means is kind of a little bit shady.
This is how blackmail begins. Only you're doing it in public, so it's not really I don't know what to call this. Strong arm robbery. I have your dick pics and your sexting. If you don't pay me, I'm going to sell this to somebody else. I don't know what this is, but this seems dirty to me, and I'm a hypocrite. So fuck it.
You're a hypocrite, so you would know the hypocritical
That's
behavior
right,
of this blog post.
I would know the hypocritical nature of this. Holy crap, Don! Yeah, buddy. I just okay. Anyway, let's move on from this.
I've had some good conversations with Don in my time, but that one's a little outside the norm. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Hey, I got this one in my newsfeed. This was pretty slick. Business Insider, this animated map shows how the humans migrated across the globe. Now, I've been talking about this PBS series, The First Peoples, for like months now, and I've been trying to get Bator to finish the series so we can do a podcast on it. But basically, this is showing how the migration of the human species didn't just like come up out of Africa first. First, we went into Africa. And that didn't work out so good. So then we moved out of Africa.
Yeah. Well, it's this kind of like it breaks it down by migration. If you actually look at the years, I mean, if you think about 50,000 years ago, and then so it's not like one wave and then another wave and then another wave. These were all going. The second group was leaving at the same time, but going different directions. And one group goes faster than the other, and we're not talking about somebody who's walking out with a purpose, like I need to get to Australia. We're talking about settlement after settlement, and moving at a pace of probably like a half mile a year when you don't have a set dwelling at that point.
No, what we're talking about the movement here is families increasing in size, marriages, new villages, new households being created. You already have households and farms behind you, so the only place you have to go and build new is in front of you.
Well, yeah, at some point, because this is a genetic population of us from a particular location. We went from thousands to billions,
But if you notice here, they're talking about the same roots that we've been talking about, the green belts. As the humans moved across the green belts, the possibility of relic populations of these other bipedal Bigfoot type creatures are moving along those same green belts and movements, just not directly in those societies, in a different area.
So when you look at the dried out areas of like the globe now, were different, 15,000 years ago. They were different 300,000 years ago, 450,000 years ago, at 750,000 years ago, all the different times where we had these glacial maximums. And so, but the roots are still, in geological terms, the Himalayas were already there. Like 3 million years ago, that was there. That didn't just pop up overnight. In geological terms, 3 million years is pretty much overnight. That's something that really that's been there. The rain shadow's been there. So there's some features that you can So looking at our migration, you could look at the relic populations of Homo erectus and try. We know that they made it. Under India, under the sub-Himalayan, down into Southeast Asia and up into, the China. And then what happened to the other people that went a different direction? Well, you can look at our known migration as an analog to think, okay, well, could they have made it? Could they not have made it? There's some clues here and there. But you could also look at, you just look at that like, okay, this is the way that it would go. If you look at those lines, let's see if I can find a good spot in here, because this is cool stuff to like where they're actually showing all of Asia. If you look at where we've been talking about all these relic, ape men, if you will, it's exactly along the same routes that we took, and that, my friends, is something that's very important because that's the passable route for a bipedal primate like us.
Exactly. That was the point I wanted to bring up about the Business Insider. So you can check that out on Facebook or thebusinessinsider.com. Next up, Mr. Clipper Ackman posted up a great article on his blog. May this never happen to a Sasquatch. May there not be humans staring from the outside of glass in a zoo at poor Sam Squanches in the zoo. I really pray that never happens. We were going to talk about this here very shortly. I was up in the mountains with the fellas this weekend. And this is one of the things that we were actually talking about. It was like, well, what do we do once, we do have to have some of these animals under constant observation so that we can learn from them. We definitely don't want to put them in the zoo. There's definitely no facility around that's able to hold them. We would have to put up some kind of a preserve. We would have to put up a very large scale, and there would have to be an understanding between the Sasquatch and whoever the preserve people are that this is yours. You just can't go outside of this anymore. We're sorry, but we need to learn from you, and that's the way it is. And we're going to let you hunt, and we're going to let you live the way you're going to live, but we'll get into that in just a minute anyhow. But yeah, this was pretty cool. What were your thoughts on that?
Zoos are kind of, for me, being like of the conservational mind and of the, so I went to a zoo recently, and I know that when the individuals in the zoo are being procured, it's a business. They're traded and sold and all sorts of other things. But the orangutans at the Woodland Park Zoo were either rehab or born in captivity or taken out of scientific testing, et cetera, and given a much better enclosure than this, quite honestly.
Moscow Poor Zoo. Yeah, he's pretty jacked up. But
yeah. So the circumstances are like it's either life or ending of life, and giving the quality of life that you can versus not. We're not going out into the Congo and apprehending gorillas to bring back to zoos anymore. That's just not how it is. But the conservation aspect of it is important in the way that, I can take my 18-month-old son to see a gorilla, and he was saying the word people when he was watching the gorillas too.
Nice. Yeah, that's awesome. That's very cool.
Making that sort of connections that, hey, that looks a lot like,
that looks like people. Yeah.
And when he was going to the monkeys with the monkeys, and then seeing the gorillas, and he was like, people, like that was. That's
very natural response. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, but it's kind of a powerful thing.
Yeah.
So like on the one hand, we're not zoos 50 years ago, probably not the most sustainable business of all time. If there were not gorillas in captivity to breed in captivity and sustain the zoo's trading business, like they'll have a baby gorilla, and then they'll raise the gorilla to maturity, and then they'll take that baby gorilla and they'll move it to another zoo to breed, et cetera, et cetera. So there is the sustainable aspect of a zoo, but to take something like a Sasquatch that is not there, there's no beginning, like, okay, well, we screwed up, and if we had known now what we knew then, or if we had felt now what we felt, or we felt then what we felt now, we probably wouldn't have started this whole thing with the greater apes and et cetera, et cetera. So why would we start that with Sasquatch now? And that's the question. That's where I'd like to differentiate. Like, okay, we just can't free all the gorillas in the zoo because they don't know how to live in the wild, because they've been institutionalized in the zoo. But it would be, from where we are right now, it would be irresponsible for us to apprehend a Sasquatch and put it in a zoo just to gain traffic and do whatever conservational things that they do, but that's not ethical.
If it wasn't for the Oakland Zoo, we probably wouldn't have any condors left in California.
Yeah,
zoos do a lot of good conservation work. However, the greater apes have always been a fine line where, there's always been an argument whether we should keep them or not. And at a time before the internet, and a time before people could actually, visit a zoo by YouTube and actually see what these things look like, the only way to do that was to go to a zoo that had one. And we're talking clear up to the 1980s. It wasn't until the 1990s that the internet really became accessible to homes in America, where you could look up funny cat pictures. You had
to wait like 7 minutes to download that picture.
That's very true. You did have to wait for it, but it was available and accessible to everyone on the planet that had a phone line. And that's a powerful thing in itself too. So nowadays we don't have to do that because we can go right online and watch the live cam of the gorillas in a zoo, in the Congo.
Yeah,
or we can look at a nature preserve. We can look at a monkey preserve, or we can look at an orangutan preserve. We can watch those webcams and see those animals live in their own habitats, that we couldn't do before. Why are we still keeping these animals here?
And like I say, it is a business. It is conservation. They do raise money for good things and rehabilitation and all sorts of things. But they try to do it in a sustainable way. And if they lose, if they don't have a breeding stock, they will just close down that exhibit and move what they have to another exhibit. The Woodland Park Zoo, actually, they had a kind of a tragic death of an elephant on their property, and they just evacuated all the elephants because they realized, for a lot of reasons, they had done the best that they could, but that was not an adequate area.
And there were other places that could take those.
Yeah, and so they sent them to larger ranged areas and took them out of their zoo. Like, you know what, this isn't good. There are no chimpanzees there because the chimpanzees don't have a good enough. They never had a good enough enclosure. The gorillas have a very, very large enclosure.
Yeah, zoos are by far much more responsible these days than they ever were in the 70s or the 80s.
Yeah.
I remember the zoo up the street had big cats in small cages.
But I think that you do see the shrinking aspects of the zoo, if you will.
That must be really confusing for your boy, though, to look at the gorillas in the zoo and go, people, and think, he's thinking to himself, why are people in the zoo, Daddy?
Yeah, well, and so like that's those are the things. Like, now I have to have a conversation with him, like later in life to talk about that. But like he'll kind of have
we're assholes, son. It's just that simple. Humans are assholes.
Don't let me anyway. But yeah, so that interesting topic. Thank you, Cliff, again. Yes. Always as for being the thinking man squatcher. I do love that. That's
right. And next up, it was another little bit of sad news this week. Florida researcher Charlie Carlson, at 71, did finally pass away. I mean, I've seen this guy in everything. He's in all the old documentaries. He's a big fixture of Florida research when I was there. And it's kind of sad to see that he passed away. So I figured we'd pay a little bit of homage to the man to say, Godspeed to you, Charlie. You tried your best.
Another cryptozoologist / Fortean is gone on to the big chase in the sky.
Watching area in the sky. Yep. And with that, treasuredmetaljewelry.com. That's right, our other sponsor for the news. Go out to treasuredmetaljewelry.com and click on the Silver Bullet Contest. You see that right over there?
Right there.
Yeah. Click on that, and then fill out this simple, tiny little form. We're talking like 4 entries, and he's not going to bug you with daily emails. And click submit. You'll be entered to win one of these fabulous prizes. That's right, a 2-ounce .308 replica solid silver bullet. No, these are not fireable. The whole thing is actually solid silver. Then second place is a 1-ounce 45 caliber replica solid silver pendant itself. That's right. We're talking about stuff that's actually worth money because it's precious metals. And then we've got 3 rounding out the finals with the brass 45 caliber replica round pendants. That's right. These are really cool stuff. So check it out at treasuredmetaljewelry.com and consider them for all of your precious metal needs. Thank you very much for running that for me tonight, David, because my computer was just sucking eggs. Holy crap. But right about now, I believe, is where we get our tip of the week. Yeah, I should have had the picture up a little faster. I know. It's okay. And now it's time for Rules to Squatch By with your old pal, Wes.
Number 6. Sasquatch are known to live in family groups. And I mean, damn, look at what they're serving for dinner. I mean, when you want to be a part of that family, shit, give me a double. Come check out my recent work and my art for sale at weslosner.com. Stay squatchy, my friends.
That's right, people. And come find us on Monday nights, 8 p.m. Pacific, when we do Bigfoot Entertainment Weekly. David keeps he keeps threatening to come and visit us one night while we're live on the air, and he's always welcome for that. And this week we're talking about Bigfoot, the Lost Coast tapes.
Ooh.
Yeah, we're going to get down with that. Hopefully Rowdy will give us a moment or two of his time. Hey, as I alluded to earlier, yeah, I'm actually fresh back off of a squatching trip. I didn't tell nobody. I didn't mention it to nobody. The phone call came in last week after the podcast. They're like, hey, you want to go squatching? And I went, shh, don't tell nobody, but yeah. And they're like, okay, I'll call you when we can leave. I'm like, cool, I'll be ready to go. So literally, like, I kept my mouth shut. A couple of people knew so they could watch over the lounge. I packed up all my gear Friday morning. We were gone, dude. Usually if my buddy John shows up here, he says, all right, I'll pick you up at 6. Okay, at 6:20, he's usually giving me a call saying, yeah, I'll be there in about 10 minutes.
I'll be there in a half hour.
So I wasn't rushing this week. You know, I had a couple of little things to pack. It was like 5:30. I was putting some stuff in the bag. My phone rings. I figured it was that call that says, yeah, I'll be there a little late. No, he's like, don't rush or anything, but I'm already here. And I went, oh, well. He's like, yeah, I was just in that much of a hurry to go and go squash. And I said, well, give me 10 minutes and I'll be out. And boom, we were gone. Headed up to Sacramento, picked up the Justin Smeha, the Bigfoot killer. That's right. Love him or hate him, I don't give a crap. We picked him up and we went to the Sierras. And we were bear hunting, deer hunting, pig hunting, whatever the hell we could kill. It was going to be fun. And, you know, a little bit of squatching while we could be there, but we were definitely staying in squatching areas. But, dude, it sucked. It was horrible. I mean, there was no activity of anything, really. I mean, we saw signs of everything. But the one thing we did find, David, was dead bear in the woods. We found a dead bear carcass in the woods.
Where everybody says you never find a dead bear carcass.
How many? Well, now we can say I found one. In the 40 years I've been in the woods, I've now found, and I didn't even find it. We smelled it. We were canvassing the area looking for tracks, and we smelled something dead. So we went back to camp and we were like, "Hey Justin, there's something dead up here. You want to come find it?" And he's like, "Yeah." So we all jumped up on the quads and went back up over the hill and got off the quads, and within minutes. Whoop, there it is. You know, he's a hunter.
Follow your nose. It always knows.
Exactly. So he pinpointed right into it. And, you know, 50 feet into the brush there, sure enough, was a dead bear. I'm going to put a video together of the weekend, so I'm not actually going to put the pictures or the video of that stuff up tonight until I actually get that done. Yeah, that's right. Tough shit. But it's really cool. It was definitely been eaten on, gnawed on. The bugs had gotten to it. It had been there so long that it now stinks and nothing wants it. That's rare.
When it breaks down to be just like, just a stinky pile of goo,
right, basically. So we figured it was probably about 10 to 13 days old from the way we could tell from it. Also because it had rained 13 days before, and we knew it wasn't from before when it rained. So it was from that point to this point that it was dead there. Once the stink goes away, then the rodents move in and chew on all the bones and eat up everything else, and then there really won't be anything left. I mean, no teeth, the porcupines will come in there, and, well, I don't know if they got porcupine up that high, but the rodents will definitely tear the living crap out of what's left there. And then there'll be nothing but a pile of hair till it rains again, and then, poof, no bear. So if you weren't in the mountains in that 28 days time, you probably would have never seen or smelled that bear.
Yeah, and like you say, the smell you have like a week of that tops, but there's just like a prime few days where that's like, you know, a big deal. Usually, it's kind of gross, but it's when the belly pops and then all the fat and tissue really breaks down. That's when you get that like that septic smell.
Yeah, all the meat had already been eaten off of the bones. I mean, it was just render laying left. I mean, that's really all that was laying left there. Justin's going to go back up next weekend and pick up the head, pick up the skull, and boil it down. So we should have that as an exhibit to be able to have a show and tell one night. I don't know if anybody noticed. The new background is actually up. I got sick of the old background. I just couldn't take it anymore. So that was the first night. We did a lot of hunts. Richard Allen, I was talking to him when he came back. He was like, "What did you do?" I said, "Well, you know, we went bear hunting." And he was like, "Oh, really? What kind of weapon did you have?" I'm like, "A bow." One bow for the two of us. Yeah, we were kind of walking around the woods. That dude hiked for miles and miles. I didn't walk very far at all, but we did a couple of short hunts. And yeah, dude, I mean, you go bear hunting. We were looking for a 20-yard kill with a bow. It takes balls. I'm sorry, but it takes a man to go out looking for a black bear. Just has to pet you, and he's going to shred clear down to the bone. He just has to reach out and pet you, and that's all it really takes. But you know how to handle these animals. If you scare the crap out of them, they will run. They're black bears. They're not grizzly bears. We're not out hunting grizzly bears. We're hunting 140-pound to 300-pound black bears.
Yeah, like we said, like the black bear attack is because they want to eat you versus a territorial attack where they just want to maul the crap out of you and walk away, like a grizzly bear will. Just to prove a point, a black bear wants to eat you, but a black bear has to be in a very specific state of mind and really down on his luck to want to do that. Because
exactly.
They want to be way away from you.
We're literally trying to sneak up on a bear without him seeing or smelling us, so that we can shoot him when we get close enough. That's exactly, because if he smells us, he's gone. If he sees us, he's gone. If we go in the woods, he's gone. I mean, literally, it just takes nothing for all of the animals in front of you to just poof. And the problem up there this weekend was the air was swirling. So the nice thing was it removed all the human scent within like 10, 15 minutes. All the human scent from the area was just gone. But you could be tracking south, and then the wind blows north, and then you could be tracking north, and the wind blow east. I mean, it was literally that bad up there that when we were looking to kill something, we saw barely anything at all.
Yeah. So you know who's not afraid of a black bear? Anybody who's ever tried to hunt one down.
That's right, because you can never find that bastard when your bow is ready to kill that fucker.
Yeah, you can't find them, and then once you do, they're like the fuck out. Like that's how it goes.
Yeah, and that's what we're going to be talking about tonight. Exactly, is they're gone, and if they're not gone, you're going to see them from 40 yards away, 80 yards away, 120 yards away, lengths and distances that you're not going to want to touch with a bow and arrow in definite windy conditions. So let's go on and move on to...
And now for tonight's topic.
That's right. We're talking about field optics. Now, me personally, I'm a one-eyed guy. Okay, I've got one eye that's nearsighted, one eye that's farsighted. So I'm literally a one-eyed guy. If I have my glasses off, I'm screwed. Everything wobbles in and out. I can't focus on nothing without closing one of my eyes. And hell, I don't even remember which one's which half the time. I've got to block one to figure it out. So when I actually go out into the field and when I'm looking across and looking for just anything moving through, I use a monocular. Now, for me, a monocular is much easier than a pair of binoculars to try and look through through my glasses, because I've got a weird set of pupil distances as well. So I've never actually successfully used a pair of binoculars and felt comfortable with them. So years ago, I moved on to a monocular, and this is a 10 by 50, which means that it gives me 10 times the view at one end, and it brings it basically 50 times closer at the other. Is that how that works? No, it's a 10x. 10x multiplier at a 50 millimeter view.
Yeah. So
it brings everything 10 times closer than what it actually is. So 2,000 yards looks like 200 yards. 200 yards looks like 20 yards. That's a basic multiplier for most binoculars.
Yeah, exactly. And so what you have to know is what you're going to be comfortable with. What are you trying to use it for? And how are you set up? I mean, Jeff and I've got like a terrible astigmatism, which if I was just nearsighted or just farsighted, I could actually take my glasses off, put the whole rubber right up to my eye and accommodate for that and see just fine through. I mean, that's what it is. It's a lens, and you can accommodate for that sort of thing. If your eyes are different, or if they're like, there's a lot of things you got to figure out, like binoculars versus monoculars. Obviously, Jeff and I both have eye issues, and so I choose. Yeah, I choose a monocular as well, but I've gone for like the
super duper. I'm going to look up your skirt from 5,000 yards away.
Yeah, the long range. Like so if I take this to its full capacity, which is a 60 times zoom, I need to use a tripod because any jitters of my hand are going to make basically it's unviewable at that point. So there's a small tripod that you could do like belly laying, or put it on a stump and use it, or
Stick it
use
in the crook of a tree.
Use a full tripod and sit down in a chair or whatever. But so what are you really trying to accomplish? Like, this for me is quiet surveillance. Like, if I'm going to go up, if I've got a good view of an area that I think there's going to be animals of any type moving through, I can go and I can post up, I can relax, I can put my eye up on this, and I can kind of just scan the hillside from a very long distance. Like, from a half mile away, I can see pretty good with this. That's what this whole thing is for. And this is just like, just a regular Bushnell spotting scope. But this is kind of for quiet time.
That's from looking from one ridge to another ridge.
Yeah, pretty much, or from the top of a ridge down into a valley, or but you have to have an open line of sight. And what else do you have to have? Bum, 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 daylight.
Yeah,
this doesn't work in the dark. It doesn't work through trees. It doesn't work through bushes. There's a lot of things.
It is not X-ray vision. It is not night vision. It is not ultra vision.
There's a lot of things that this doesn't work for, but in the right scenario, which you have to identify, like, you do your groundwork, you do, okay, here's a great place to look for here's a great, you wouldn't hike this. I mean, this is probably 3.5, 4 pound ish kind of piece of gear. Not terrible, but when you start to put a tripod with it that you would need to look long distances and all the other things, it becomes a pretty cumbersome piece of gear. So you wouldn't take that to a location unless you knew you were going to be able to use it.
Right. Set it up, identify other locations that you want to pack into from high up on the ridge. Stuff that looks interesting. Like, we found a bunch of new pastures, things we hadn't found before. I mean, literally just big open pastures. And it was all, you remember the mule's ear that was up there in June when we were up there? It was all green and pretty, had luscious little yellow flowers on it. Everybody was happy. That was all dry, tinder paper. I mean, literally, if you touched it, it crumbled into dust and went, it was gone. Nothing ate it. Nothing touched it. It was everywhere. However, it was a good indicator of where the animals were moving through and laying down, because everywhere you could see little beds of where things had moved through. Now, up there, the water sources are nearly gone. That's why we actually go squatching this time of year, because we control the water sources. We know where the animals are going to be moving in and around from, so it makes the area that we have to hunt a whole lot smaller. We literally found oases of green where there was running water, and where there was water coming up from, actually coming out of the ground and running through the alders, and you can see where the deer had been laying and swirling down into it. Well, our buddy John grabs his field glasses out when we hit this one meadow, and he starts looking across the meadow for signs of anything, looking for whatever, and right in front of him was evidence of deer that something had been bedding down. Now, my bet on it is black-tailed deer, because we saw dozens of them while we were up there, and there was a water source right there. But that goes to show that one of the other things I wanted to mention was, just because you're out there with your field glass, not everything's always across the field. Remember to look straight down and observe your surroundings directly in front of you when you arrive first, before starting to glass out, because we probably spooked the deer that were laying there as we rode up.
Oh, absolutely. And so you find these oases of green. The big monocular, the huge, 30 to 60 times magnification, is to find that area. This area is important. And this is how field biologists, this is how trophy hunters do it too, or people who do field work for trophy hunters that are going to pay big money to get the big bucks, is you find that area. This is an important area, and then you go do the arduous, boring, I'm going to poke my eyes out with my monocular kind of thing, where you sit up and you just watch that area and see what comes through there.
Past those, right. We'll pass those areas where we actually located an alpine lake. Well, not an alpine lake, a high forest lake at 7,300 feet. And we posted up on that for the second day, the second night, and the second morning. And that's basically what we did, was we watched that lake, everything around that lake, went for short, couple of mile hikes around the lake. Justin covered it in circles and covered about 15 miles. And we found all the game trails. We found where the animals are moving up to drink from. There's resident ducks in the pond. I mean, not pond. It's a spring-fed lake that then feeds the other water sources off of this greenbelt area that we stayed up on the second night. Those are the types of things that you're looking for, because that's where all the animals are going to be.
Above and below it, where things flow into and out of that particular lake, probably, yeah, it's probably a really important spot. But I mean, here's the real thing. Like, this monocular that I have, and like, a 10 times is probably more reasonable, but all that's gonna, like, you wouldn't use what I have here for birding. If you were going to be sitting around that lake and looking at birds in the trees across the way, you would have a 10 times zoom. The 60 times zoom is looking from the road up on top of the ridge and the clear-cut trails to see what's up there.
Right.
And doing that sort of thing. So you can, if you're comfortable with the optics, like up against your eyes, which obviously if you have glasses, that's a problem. If you have astigmatisms, you have problems. If you're just nearsighted or farsighted, the optics will help you compensate for that. Take your glasses off, put them up on top of your head, put the binoculars right up and use them. That's fine. But really anything more than 10 times, even in the small form factor, like, hey, something I can hike with, something it'll hang around my neck, it's not going to weigh me down, it's not 3.5, 4
little
pounds.
5x10s, yeah,
like the 5x10 binoculars. I just toss them in your bag.
There's a reason that those are given to scouts in the Army, because of the perfect little hiking binocular to see 10 times away. I mean, they don't have to be Leopold lenses. We're not shooting deer from a mile away, and where a pubic hair is going to make the difference here. But you're most likely going to see wildlife at a distance than you are going to see it directly straight up in front of you. So field optics are very important to know what conditions are going to make you feel comfortable. Just going out and buying a pair of binoculars might just be a waste of money. Start with your friends, see what they have, see what feels comfortable to you, and if nothing, well, then you got to start going up to the shop and figuring out what's going to be best for you.
Yeah, and again, the application, is it going to be for, hey, what's across the lake, or hey, I have this
I want to see the moon. I want to see the craters on the moon.
I want to see the crater. Yeah, you don't need a telescope to go hiking, and the whole idea is, like, for me and my super telephoto, the whole idea is that if I found an area where I found tracks, or there was recent sign, or I thought that there was a potential, I would need to find a vantage far away, up to from a quarter to a half mile away, so that my presence is not known whatsoever, to do that long distance observation. And that's the boring part, but that's where you have to really have an idea of, okay, here's a good spot, here's a good reason for me to do this. I have this, but I've never hiked with it because it's too heavy. But if there was a reason for me to do so, I would go back immediately.
Well,
I would take it, and it would be worth it. Yeah,
you need to go get you one of those hiking carts like we had in an episode or two ago with the wheel on it. Then you can take your 4-pound scope with you and go up high on the ridge and camp out for the night. Take your 68-pound tent. I was talking to Kip Morrill after I got back this week. He's like, yeah, I got me a new tent. And he sent me this link to it. And I was like, well, let me look this thing up, see how people like it, see what's going on with it. It's like 68 pounds. And I'm like, oh, this isn't a packing camp I see. This is one of those hard canvas, like, it'll even endure snow type of tents. And I'm like, hell yeah, pimp. Next time we go camping, I'm just bringing a cot.
Next time we go, I'm gonna bring 4 ounces of the new E&O straps and my sub 7, which is less than 7 ounces of hammock.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's ridiculous, but it's awesome. But
then you're gonna bring the 3 pounds of the underquilt and 9 pounds of your sleeping bag.
Exactly, but that's worth it.
Right, that's worth it because you got to have that ultralight pack for your sack.
Yep, exactly. I won't even notice it.
Nope.
Yeah.
I got it. Dude, I got to tell you, I love the hammock. I really do. Didn't set it up this weekend because we slept by the fire. And then, honestly, we pushed out on the Saturday night because it was like 41 degrees with the wind blowing at 65 miles per hour. So we decided to all just kind of huddle in the camper with the heat on. So but we did not have a campfire because it was too dangerous up there. And, we're smart like that. So, yeah, stick that in your pipe and smoke it. Anyhow, people, that's actually going to wrap it up for this edition of the Squatch Lounge podcast. I don't know what you're going to do with the optics. Go try them out. Go up to the Bass Pro Shops open, and holy crap, we saw that when we were coming back in Sacramento. I'm going to see there are going to be a million trips to that bastard once it gets open. It's like having an REI in your backyard. I know somebody else that has that problem. Well, be sure to go out and check out our sponsors, drsquatch.com. Get you some of the best soap I've actually, Tyler Durden type of stuff. I'm talking about Fight Club soap here. And check out our other sponsor at treasuredmetaljewelry.com. Enter the Silver Bullet contest, and we will be drawing a winner live on the air September 30th. So you got some time to enter, but get out there and do it anyhow. Tell your friends. It's open to anybody, not just listeners to the podcast. Thanks, everybody, for listening. I am the Reverend Jeff Kelly, and for my co-host, the Dr. David Batdorf, we say thanks for watching, and may the Squatch be with you.
I'm going to barbecue beef jerky.
Oh, dude. We had T-bones. I didn't say we didn't eat. Eggs and bacon and sausage via the Sasquatch Killer. Oh, yeah.
Raccoon sausage. Some of that mustard sauce.
For some reason, we always had the munchies.
Can only imagine.
Next week, we're going to talk something Bigfooty.
Bigfooty. Like portals?